below to let me know what you're feeling like. Like, what would mine look like today? Mine would, you know what? I'm actually kind of zen today. I'm a little zen today. So it would probably be that emoji where the person's like, you have the little smile and you see the little eyelids going under. Like that, I think would be my I shouldn't say today. In this moment. If you had asked me a few hours ago, it might be a very different emoji. So in this moment, that is what the emoji is. The kids are upstairs. They're bouncing around. I can hear them, but I'm sort of woosah in the moment right now. So drop an emoji. Let me know what you're feeling today. Let me know how you're doing. I wanted to pop on today to talk a bit about, I think I'm going to do a few of these on marriage and relationships, because we have been talking, you hear a lot, there's ad nauseum, so many ways to keep yourself stable, misery-free in terms of homeschooling and parenting and stuff like that during this period, but not as much stuff around your marriage, and marriages and partnerships, those are part of the family, right? And that's what I do. I feel like my glasses are weird. Anyway. Now I'm going to be obsessing about it the whole time. But in case you don't know me, let me explain to you a bit let me explain to you why families are really important and why I'm talking about this today. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Linda Willis. I'm a psychologist and I'm a family coach. And I help families break free from stable misery. And I primarily work with couples and parents. I love what I do, because I truly believe the family is the foundation of society. And if we can come together as families and we can support one another and we can learn and test and teach our children the skills that they need to thrive in the world and in relationships outside of the family, by helping them to learn those things in the family, our society could be gold, man. So I am here today to talk to you about families, but even more specifically, as the topic says, the question, and I know this is a really big claim, but the question that will help you stop the madness in your marriage. Okay, and the reason why I'm so confident about this magic question, as I like to call it, is because I have used it with countless couples, and it really does make an impact. Now, some of the reasons why this question makes an impact. The first reason really has little to do with the question itself, but questions in general. So when we find ourselves getting into these crazy behind situations with our partners, where we might blow up or shut down or whatever, usually what's happening on a neurological level is our frontal lobe, the part of our brain that's activated when we're driving the car, or, well, that's debatable, but making poetry or learning something new, right? That part of our brain that holds all the information is not working, right? And the more heated and more intense the arguments get, the less access we have to that frontal lobe, and the more the emotional, or the amygdala part of our brain, the emotional center of our brain, lights up and takes over. What questions in general do, and I'm not talking about the snarky questions like, what are you, an idiot? That is not the type of question I'm talking about, people, okay? So don't go back and say, Dr. Linda Willis said, all I have to do is ask a question. No, not all questions are not created equal, okay? But genuine questions, you cannot entertain a question without activating your frontal lobe. Cannot happen. When I was in private practice, some of my clients would do what we call dissociate, which is sort of where you separate from the here and now. You separate your attention from your body and from the present moment, and you're sort of just off, in a different place. And at the end of the sessions, I would say things like, hey, tell me what time is it? Or where are your keys? Right? Because that brings people back. Whenever we ask a question, if only for a split second, you automatically come back to the present moment, and it clicks that frontal lobe. Now, it may not turn it on completely. It may be like one of those old cars where the engines don't work. It may be more like, but sometimes that's all we need to help pull ourselves out of the madness. So questions in general are really good. Real questions in general are really good for that. And I'm going to explain to you in a bit what this question is. Yeah, I'm keeping you waiting for the question. What's the question? But let me explain to you why I'm going to talk about this specific question. So a lot of times what I hear from the couples that I work with, especially when it comes around arguments or fights or those stable misery pits that we all seem to fall into time and time again, where things are rolling along pretty well. And then we hit those bumps, or maybe we just live in those bumps where we're just unhappy, we're unfulfilled, we're not satisfied, and we just don't know how to get out. We can't get out of that rut no matter how much we rock the car. It's just not coming out, right? And a lot of times what I hear my clients say is, we see it coming, we just don't know how to stop it, right? Like when you've had the same argument over and over and over again, it gets pretty predictable after a while. So common sense would dictate that you should be able to pull yourself out. You'd be able like, oh no, there's the edge of the cliff. Don't turn the car. But we can't do it. And that is not a judgment. I put myself in there too. When my frontal lobe shuts down, all this stuff that I've learned, right? Those aspects of it that aren't hardwired into my brain from years of practice anyway, they're really hard to integrate. So you are not alone there, trust me. But I often hear people saying like, we see it coming, but we don't know how to stop it. Let me know if this resonates with you. Pop something down in the chat to let me know if you've ever been in that situation with your partner or anyone else really, where there's that fight again. You might even see it like 10 miles off. But it's still hard when you still somehow ran right into it and you're like, right? So that's why I often offer this question, and it's super, super helpful in stopping the madness before you hit the wall. All right, you ready for the question? Drum roll, please. Okay, I've built it up way too much now. All right, so the question is, what do you need right now? That's the question. What do you need right now? As I said, the power of questions in general are powerful, right? Like they're just powerful, and I already explained why, so I won't go back through that again. But there's some other reasons why this question in particular is so powerful. And it's funny because before I started looking into the research, I was using this before I started looking into the research, but it's always nice when research backs up what you've already anecdotally found to be true, right? So the first thing, compassion. So I'm sure you've heard people say that one of the biggest issues with couples is that is communication, right? Like communication problems. Couples learn to communicate better, their marriage will improve. Well, there's been a few studies, but one study in particular that was done by Bastyr University, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, which is a nonprofit science-based institution that focuses on natural medicine. But they did a study on couples, and what they found was it's not just communication that improves relationships. It's compassionate communication, which is really big, which if you think about it makes sense. So you've heard of things like I statements, or it's like use I statements, not you, right? But if you've ever tried to use them, and I still teach them, but usually they're not the go-to that they used to be, at least right up front, because what ends up happening is you get a couple and you teach them I statements and they'd be like, I am frustrated when you blah, 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 and it's like, okay, that's not going to work too well. Right? So it's one of those things where, yeah, you can teach people communication all freaking day long, but at the end of the day, it doesn't always work if there's not a sense of compassion. So many times I hear couples I work with say, I want to be heard. I want to be understood, right? And that's what compassion is. It's being able to see the world from the other person's side of the fence, basically. Seeing things from their perspective and being able to say, oh, okay, that makes sense. I get it. right? So compassionate communication. And that magic question, what do you need right now, is loaded with compassion, right? Because it says, I see something's happening, right? Like I see the cliff and I see we're headed for it. I see you're getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated. So it's a way to just stop and say, hey, what do you need right now? Right? Because when we're headed towards that cliff, it's often because of an unmet need. Okay, something's going on or not going on that we need. And so we're getting more and more rah, 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 because we really want that need met. So stopping and saying, what do you need right now? Right? It offers compassion. The other thing, which I've already explained, it activates that frontal lobe. Okay? Because when you ask that question, it's, I need you to just listen. Or, you know what? I think I need a minute. You know? The other thing that this question does, the magic question does, is it invites the other person to go in versus criticizing out. Okay, so when we fight, what ends up happening is we're not really doing a whole lot of self-reflection. So if I'm arguing with Patrick, my husband, and he's like, hey, what do you need right now? Automatically, I have to go in, right? I can't criticize him. Stupid question. Well, you could just say it wasn't my question. Like I got it off a recording I watched earlier today, right? But it's one of those things where I automatically have to go in and be like, what do I need? I need food. That's what I need. I'm hungry, or I need a nap, or I need, right? So it not only does it help the other person to feel held and supported and tuned into, but it also allows that person to go within. It invites them to go within and to see, what do I need? Right? As opposed to, you're not listening and you're not being nice and you're not pulling your weight and you're not blah, 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 blah. None of those answer, what do you need right now? None of those do. But if I say, I need help, I need attention, I need space to myself, you see, same exact thing, right? Like you're not pulling your weight and I need help. Pretty much communicating the same thing, but doing it in very different ways and will elicit very different responses, right? So that's the other key piece of that question. The other thing is it makes the issue. Because when we get into that madness and we're heading towards the edge of the cliff, it's really easy for us to make our partner the issue, right? Well, if you would just stop being you, we'd have no problem, right? But so it's one of those things where when you stop and you say, what do you need right now? Right? Then all of the sudden, again, the person feels held. They go within to really think like, what do I need right now? And the other person, you, let's say, are no longer the issue. What you did is no longer the issue. Now it's, what's the unmet need? The unmet need is the issue. Okay, so now it also lowers the defensiveness and our tendency to attack each other when our needs aren't met. Like, when you're like really hangry, it's got nothing to do with the other person, but the other person is so annoying, right? And it's really because you're hungry. Eat something, eat a cracker, eat a cookie, something, right? And I know I can get hangry. I can get really hangry. And when I do, it's not really about the other person, but all of a sudden my kids are the most annoying people on the planet, and I can easily make them the issue. I can easily make my husband, Patrick, the issue, but he's really not the issue. Have you ever been there? Let me know in the chat. Have you ever been there where all of a sudden you're fighting about something or you're going on, and then at some point you realize like, I think I'm hungry, or I think I'm tired, or I'm still carrying what happened at work and I just drug it all through the house and through our relationship. I'm sorry. See how easy that is to happen, right? So when you say, what do you need right now? It reflects and makes the issue the issue. It puts it back in the lap of whatever it is, the need, the unmet need in this case, puts it right back there instead of making it about each other, because we have a really good way for that to happen. Okay, So, action item. So this is what I'm going to invite you all listening to do. The next time you notice, so first, make an agreement, okay? Don't try to bust this out necessarily without letting your partner know what's going on. Have them watch this live or just explain it to them, right? But when you can say, hey, I want to try this new thing. When things start to escalate, either one of us has the green light when we notice it to say to the other person, hey, what do you need right now? Okay, and right now, that's another important thing. Say the right now is very intentional and very important, because what do you need is sort of like, well, I need an au pair and I need a chef and I need, I don't know, you got 50 million things. I need a vacation to Tahiti, right? Okay, what do you need right now, right? It brings it back to the present moment, like here, like now, like right now, what do you need? Right? And it allows you to seek the relief, right, Margie? I hear you, see? Yes. So being able to focus on like, what do you need right now? And back to making the agreement. The reason why it's important to make this agreement is because I understandably had one of my clients say to me, but I'm so tired of always being the one to have to meet everybody's needs. Right? Have you ever been there? You ever felt like you're always the one that has to be like, what do you need? How can I help? Blah, blah, blah. Which how can I help is another good one. And I totally understand that. The key to this isn't necessarily about solving the problem. And that's really, really what's important. What do you need right now isn't necessarily offering your services to the person. It's giving the person an opportunity to stop and go within and really check it for themselves, right? And then once they do that, then they can communicate. And it may involve asking for something, and it may not. But you asking this question, or this question being asked of you, the purpose of it is like a little click. Remember to jumpstart that frontal lobe, like the car, like jumpstart that frontal lobe, so that you can come back to the present moment and you can really focus on the issue, which is the unmet need. What do I really need in this moment, right? The other thing is that making this agreement to be able to say this to each other. The other important thing about this is, it just completely flew out of my head. What was I going to say? Darn. All right. If it comes back, I'll say it. It was like mind-blowingly good too. Darn. It's going to like change the whole like rotation of the earth. Anyway, so either person can ask. Yeah, and you just understand that it's a way for both of you to just pause and to take space and to truly, truly answer the question. And it's okay if you don't have an answer. It's okay if you say, I don't know what I need right now. Let me think about that. It's okay. You don't have to have an answer in the moment. All right. But again, the power of this question is activates that frontal lobe. It brings in compassion. It invites the other person to really go within versus criticizing without. And when it's asked of you, does the exact same thing. It makes the issue. So it's no longer about somebody else being stupid or dumb or, whatever. It's about what's this unmet need that's like getting in the way here. And it's something that you can make an agreement on with your partner in advance. And when this happens, I'm telling you, I've seen such magic happen in relationships when this is used. And remembering, it's not a question that's automatically putting you in the situation where you have to solve a problem. You don't have to solve the problem. It's genuinely about allowing each other to reflect on what is the need. What is the need right now? All right. So I want you to do this. Go make the agreement with your partner, right? Come back. Let me know how it goes. If you try it out, come back. Let me know how it goes. I want to hear some feedback. If you want some more support or you want to talk more, or you're thinking, yeah, that's great, but my situation is like we're a white snowflake, and we're very different from everybody else, then hop on my website, drlwillis.com, and click on that Let's Chat button, schedule a very free session, and I'll help you work through some stuff so we can figure out what will work for you and your family. All right, that is the Stay Stable, Misery-Free tip of the day. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay stable, misery-free, and I will see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching.